Look at this hair, Dan. I'm trying the Jack Nicholson. How's it working?
You're kind of blurry because the reception isn't great, so I can't really see.
Oh, shit. That's probably for the better.
Yes, it is.
Luckily, no one watches the show, so they won't know I'm going through a phase.
Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. Hey, watching with Dan and Tony. It's like watching, yeah.
Welcome to Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. This is Medium Energy Dan.
I think you're overselling it. I'm Tony. Welcome back, folks.
This is Low to Medium Energy Dan. And we're in the thick of Schlockbusters month. And
Yeah.
what Schlockbusters... Thank you for closing the door, Shannon, so you can hear the dog bark. Good job, Shannon. Shannon's here. Shannon's here because she's going to enjoy this. Because you just said the thing. We're in week 3 of Schlockbusters, which are movies that they spent lots of money on and may or may not have made money on, but really wanted to be franchises that would go on and on forever and make the studios billions of dollars, but instead they're one and done.
Dan, I did not check the how much this cost. Did you do your homework on that?
I didn't look it up.
Because it has to be a lot. It looked expensive.
Oh, God, they spent so... I mean, they bought, like, the 747 or whatever the airplane is. He's like, let's just buy the airplane. It'll save us money.
And then don't even do something cool with it.
Speaking of, like, ooh, look, it bumped a car out of the way. Ooh, look, it sort of ran into a building. Oh.
So slowly. The one thing I did appreciate is they told you. He's like, well, it's not as dramatic as all that.
Oh, what do you
just
mean?
Watch it slowly go, and I was like, yeah, you're right. It's not dramatic at all. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Who told you it was not dramatic?
Your boyfriend, Robert Pattinson.
Oh, really? Like
he literally says that when he's explaining his plan. He's like, I want to crash a plane. He's like, oh, well, you want to crash a plane? He's like, don't worry, it's not all that dramatic. And it was not.
We will get to a lot of those kind of things. Tenet, the action adventure movie, where you're like, is there any action or any adventure?
There's no action and no adventure.
And no thriller. The thrills. You're like, oh my God! It was like, Okay.
Is this the highest rated movie that we've done?
What do you mean? It's like got 7. It's like a 7 out of 10 everywhere I look.
It's a 76% on Rotten Tomatoes. Have we done one that's higher? I can't remember.
Probably Jack
Most of the ones we do are pretty low.
Jack the Giant Slayer is probably higher. I don't think it was terrible. There was some. The funniest thing is if you ever look at these things on Amazon, they're always like 4.5s. Like every movie's like, oh yeah. You're like, what? And you start reading them, and you're like, huh? What movie were they watching?
Huh?
So, Schlockbusters this week, if you didn't guess it, we're doing Tenet 2020. Woo! 2.5 hours of fun. And by fun, I mean not fun, and more not fun.
No, Daddy definitely took the T-Bird away.
This was Tony's choice. Tony, why did you pick this movie?
The reason for this is threefold. All right. First fold is because I knew my brother's, I hope he doesn't watch this. My brother is a huge Christopher Nolan fan. One of those guys is just like, Christopher Nolan's the greatest director of all time. And I was like, this movie looks like it's going to suck. And so we had to do it, and we had to do it soon, because the longer you wait, then it's going to be spoiled. And I didn't want to have any expectations either way. The second fold is because you love Christopher Nolan. He's your absolute favorite director, and I was like, this is the perfect way to get Schlockbuster, just to really twist those loins on you. And third fold is I was curious. I was genuinely curious, and I knew I was going to watch it either way. So I felt like this was a good opportunity to give myself an excuse.
Based on all the movies you have on your Vudu, you're going to end up watching everything anyways.
I regret giving you my Vudu password now.
Like, what
I don't want you to know
movies?
that much about me. Some of them are hidden gems, Dan. You don't know. Okay. Dan, I have a very real problem where if I go to the sale section every week, they post new sales, and I just go and I'm like, maybe I'll watch that someday. Maybe it's $5. Who cares? I'm going to buy it. I have so many movies I'll never watch on there.
Oh, okay. Well, I feel better now because you have over 1,000 movies.
I know. It's a disease. I am in trouble. My wife gets mad at me all the time. Every time she turns on Vudu, there's like 4 new movies. She's like, "What is going on?" I can't help it. I like movies.
I guess so. And someday when
Well,
they
we have 1,000 more episodes to go, Dan. Think of it that way.
well, you had a couple of good movies on there, so
Thank you. I would like those written out and sent to me so I know which ones
But
that you approve of.
you had The Great Escape on there, which is a great movie.
Oh, I agree. I agree. Also
So-
on sale though.
That's fine. I do not care. Okay. So Tenet, Christopher Nolan makes this, this giant tentpole movie, and then we have COVID, so its release gets pushed back a couple of times, and eventually they just view on demand it, and I sort of released in theaters. And
It definitely came out in theaters. Did anybody see it in theaters? I didn't look at the numbers.
everyone that did see it complained about the sound mix, which
Oh, good.
I did. Did you have problems with the sound mix?
I had nothing but problems with the sound mix. I thought it
Okay.
was garbage. We live in an apartment with very thin walls. Like people can hear us just talking. So when we watch a movie, we're riding that speaker all the time. We're like up, 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 down, 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 up, up. But we were fluctuating between a 55 on our speaker all the way down to a 15. It was the most dramatic we've had to change it, I think, in any movie we've ever watched. This dramatic tension building sounds, I'll call them. I hated it. I hated it, Dan. It drove me insane.
Well, that was sort of the thing, because as Shannon will attest, right at the beginning, I'd watch the first couple minutes, and I'm like, oh, I might like this, because there was a level of intensity to it. And I was like, if they pay this intensity off with if you pay it off, it's going to be a good movie. You're like, okay, you got me. You sounded me in there, and I'm ready. I'm ready to, it's like a football game. Everybody's running around. And then when you start to think about it, you want to kill yourself, because it's everything. Everything is wrong with this movie. There's one thing I liked, and I think I hate. I mean, of course, it's beautiful. The cinematography is gorgeous. The film stock makes everything look amazing. It's like this. Sometimes you watch movies and you're like, it's someone holding a camcorder, and you feel like it's a movie, and very false. This is so intensely filmed. It feels very real and very visceral and existing. And then it's just this hollow shell for literally nothing. Actually, not nothing, a giant pile of shit.
I like that you use the football game analogy, because he did that literally in The Dark Knight Rises. He has a scene where they're in the football stadium and like the ground's falling away. So it's funny to me, because he obviously feels the same way you do, and that's like how he views his movies. And it's as if the football stadium is full and we're all waiting and they're announcing the players, but no one's running out. Nobody comes out. The game never happens. We're all like, what are we cheering for? There's nothing here.
Well, there's really no dramatic tension, I don't think, in any of the things that happens. Like, literally none of them do you feel it like, oh my God, this is, like you always talk about it. What is it? The Lethal Weapon, where he's chained up and they're torturing him.
Yes.
This is intense stuff. And we have a torture scene in this movie that is literally, instead of showing us the torture scene, they run a train in front of it.
And then they tell us what happened later. When he wakes up, he's like, "Oh, they pulled my teeth out. Did they?" I don't think they did.
They ran a train in front of you. That's a train. That's the dramatic tension. A train. Okay, so we start with a terrorist attack on the Kiev Opera. This is based on a real thing that happened. Do you know that, Tony?
I did not know that. I'm not big on world events.
Yes.
Or local events. I don't want to make it seem like I'm a nationalist. I don't care about anything.
Chechenian, which you don't even know what that is, terrorists took over the Kiev Opera, and and had I don't know, 800 people locked in there, and it was this 4-day ordeal where they actually at a certain point gassed them out, and
Wow.
they ended up killing all the terrorists, or maybe some got away. It's Russia, so you never know. And they
Sure.
killed a ton of the hostages with the gas, a ton of the hostages with the
Jesus.
gas. And so in this movie, we have the same thing, but it takes 3 minutes.
If that. I feel like some of those things were happening simultaneously, so we got double the time. So really it's probably 1.5 minutes, 90 seconds.
So what was your feeling about what was going on in that first big opera scene?
That was my feeling, Dan. My feeling was, what is going on? I don't totally understand. So what I gathered, and this, I'm just kind of walking through it in my mind. I was like, okay, so there's a team of like CIA, secret operatives types, but clearly he's not a part of the main team, because the main team seems to be, or they I don't know,
Russians.
not American, and they like, we had an American team doing something different maybe, and then listen, I don't know. And then he ran to the guy and he's like, secret password. And he's like, here's the password. And then he took him. And I was like, what's happening right now? They better explain all of this in great detail for 75 pages of exposition. And luckily they did. They gave me about 75 pages of exposition in this movie. This is the longest script I think I've ever seen.
Every 5 minutes, there were 75 bonus pages of exposition.
So much talking.
Now, when I was starting to do my research for this movie, looking around, I've been watching and thinking about David Mamet. Do you know who that is?
Oh, sure.
Oh, okay, good.
Oh, yeah, I love Mamet.
Great. David Mamet, his dream script is a script with no talking.
Oh, sure.
Because he wants, even though he's the greatest guide for writing dialogue and stuff, he wants you to be shown what's going on and not being told. This movie, all it is telling.
Yeah. And the characters are one-dimensional because they're telling. They're not like feeling and saying.
Are they one-dimensional?
Don't they have to be? I mean, I guess I don't understand dimensions, but I feel like just by default you're one-dimensional. I don't know. Okay. You might be right. Could be zero.
Talk some more about all the talking.
It's just they never feel what they're saying. I don't know how to explain that better. That I think I'm sounding like an idiot, but they're just telling things. Like, it was like if I was like, Dan, I'm very angry at you. Here are all the reasons I'm angry at you, but I'm not angry at you. I'm just telling you a sheet of why I would be angry if I felt things, but I don't feel things.
But you see,
it's dumb.
You're also doing a whole thing, and we'll get into that closer to the end of this little part, is the whole idea of screenwriting is you set things up so that you can pay them off. And this movie literally sets up nothing. And so when they are doing something that's kind of a payoff, like at the beginning, so he gets it in his mind that he has to rescue all the people in the opera. Okay?
That's right. That's right. It's my mission now. Okay, guy.
Okay, wait a second.
Idiot.
There's the so he's supposed to go there, get this guy out, get the widget, and then, or the MacGuffin. Do you know what a MacGuffin is?
I do, but I like widget better, I think.
Because it is a widget. It's not really a MacGuffin. I mean, it is a MacGuffin, but it's a widget. Sure. So he's got to get this widget and got to also get, but then in the middle of it, the Russian police are planting bombs to kill everybody to cover up what they're doing, which is what they're really there is to steal the widget. Who knows? This is never resolved in any part of this movie as to who they are and why they are and who they're working for and why they're working for.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
But in the middle of all this, he says, I got to go save everybody. So he's going to run back in the building. He's not going to fulfill his mission, which is to protect the dude and get the widget.
They specifically say that. They're like, that's not the mission. And he's like, yes, it is now. I'm changing my mission. I don't follow orders.
I got to go save all these random people. Well, I was starting to posit a concept that maybe he was actually a robot. Maybe
Oh.
the way this movie is he's really a robot. But he's not a robot because he just chooses what to do, not based on a plan or not based on orders or anything, and also not based on any backstory. And that's the whole key.
Correct.
If this was a character, we would understand that his wife got blown up, that his child got blown up, that he's a rebel who does right. How many movies that Tony loves are these movies where it's like, I'm a police officer, but I'm such a badass. I got to do my own thing. You're not the boss of me, right? That's Lethal Weapon too,
all
right?
of them. And then we suspend you. Give us your badge and your gun, and then they slam it on the table, and you're like, yeah, go do it anyhow, dude.
Because that's
Fuck yeah.
That's the American character, is to do the right thing even in the face of being told not to do it. He just, in the face of stuff, he just makes a decision, like arbitrary decision based on nothing, based on no character traits, based on nothing that it tells us nothing about him.
Well, the movie specifically tells us they're not going to. When he's talking, I mean, I'm jumping forward a little bit, but when he's talking to that lady who's like explaining, Tenet or whatever to him, he's like, tell me about yourself. She's like, no, we don't talk about ourselves. The less we know about ourselves, the better. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. The movie literally tells me they don't want me to know my main protagonist, who refers to himself as the protagonist a lot in this movie.
Now, does he actually, I'm trying to think, since I did watch it almost a week ago, does he refer to himself as the protagonist?
Oh, yeah. There's a conversation where he's with the lady at the end. I don't remember anyone's names because so much information is thrown at. Yes, the arms dealer lady.
Or stupid
and he's
tall blonde lady.
She's like, you think you're the protagonist? He's like, I am the protagonist. She's like, no, you're a protagonist. And then the end of the movie, the callback is like, I am the protagonist. And then he blows her away. I think I'm glorifying that a little bit, but it's pretty close.
They say protagonist about 15 times, and it's like
so many times. It's just in case you didn't know he was the protagonist of the movie, now you do.
And and it's just so dumb. So he goes there and he collects all the bombs and he throws them up in the thing to save everybody, and then the secret person saves him with a backwards bullet, which I almost missed.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was like, wait, what? Maybe I was writing something down and I saw the explosion of the backwards bullet, but I didn't even register the little the little dangly that he had on his thing.
I did not catch that either, if I'm being honest. I mean, later, obviously, I knew that doesn't matter, but I did not realize that because that is so quick, and I didn't care at the time because I was doing this. That whole scene, I was just like, I don't care about anything that's happening. And then he came in, but they definitely cut to the bullet hole, and then Washington's like, is that a bullet hole? That seems weird. Pause, and then it starts to do the little movie thing. Pause, and then sucks it back. Yeah.
Okay, so he does that, then he runs back to his van, and then it turns out the people that had ensconced him in there are really more bad guys. We don't know who they're bad guys for, but so they take him and his buddy out there. They just kill the buddy.
I'm sorry. I actually have a question on this
Sure.
Robert Pattinson saving him thing. Yeah. Why does it have to be inverted? Couldn't that just be forward? Like, there's nothing that I remember from the movie that is like, oh, if he goes forward in time to save him, he'll never save him. But because he's going back, just because he knows what happens, is that what I'm supposed to believe? Like,
you know what you would really do if you had this stupid technology that makes no sense is you would just hunker all these people down, and then you'd just have them run the operations, because he knows exactly where he's got to be at the exact time. Why would you run it backwards? Because running backwards just it's more complex. It's not simpler, right? It doesn't get you anything.
I think it's only more complex because they don't set a good guideline of rules in the movie, and they break their own rules all the time. So it seems more complex than I think it should be.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason why you'd be running people backwards. There's no, because the only reason you'd be running people backwards is because they were being run backwards at that time. See, that's the whole thing is he's going to be sitting back in 1945, the protagonist, when he's finally in charge of Tenet, which he's made up. And he's going to have to write down everything. Okay, I got to get Robert Pattinson to be right here at this exact time to save me because I know that it's him. And, and just this whole idea of you have to go into the turnstile at the exact moment you see your thing leaving. No, because so if I see myself go into the turnstile, I'm just going to stand there. Does the universe explode?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it ends. Everything ends. Don't worry about it.
Because anybody is, if you like, and that makes no sense. So everything has to be predetermined. And so it doesn't, actually nothing really matters, right? Because you can't change the timeline.
Well, so, I mean, this is something that I think the movie believes that it poses. I think you're hitting what Christopher Nolan wants you to take out of this movie is the question of free will versus, predetermined fate.
Causality.
Right?
There is no free will in this movie. There can't be.
Well, I think that. Well, but Robert Pattinson is like, they say it several times in the movie. It's the woman who's teaching him about the bullet. She's like, if you hadn't decided to pick up the bullet, you never would have. So free will does exist, which doesn't really make any sense, obviously. But there's a couple times in the movie where they try to tell you that free will does still exist, just in a way that doesn't make any fucking sense.
The only way that time travel bullshit works is if it's branching timelines. That's the only one that works. Anytime you try and do these closed systems, it's just a closed system, and it's like, now I don't care, right? Because I know if I make a decision and do something, everything's gonna happen correctly. Because she kills the dude at the end, and everything is fine.
Yeah, well, everything's great because she's jumping off the boat. She saw herself jump off the boat. I kind of liked the jumping off the boat. Yeah, I mean, it comes down to that conversation that they have in, I don't remember where they are, at the bubble plane or something, where Washington's asking, I don't know, dude. Washington's asking
bubble plane.
Your boyfriend.
Bubble plane. My boyfriend. Who's my boyfriend?
Plane, the bubble plane. Your boyfriend is Robert Pattinson.
Bubble plane. I love Robert Pattinson, by the way. That's why. Another reason why this movie pissed. Yeah, the fact that
say it.
I love him, and it pisses me off that he's so wasted in this movie.
So wasted. But I mean, I don't think I blame him, if I'm being honest.
And I don't blame Washington that much either. I like Washington too.
I couldn't get behind him. I couldn't, because he says there are moments in the movie where he says cool lines, but I never get a cool vibe from him. And I know that's wrong because I actually think he's cool.
Yeah.
Like in Ballers, I think he's awesome. Like he's super good. I just never felt it in this movie. And I blame Christopher Nolan for everything that's wrong with my life. Anyhow, Washington and Pattinson are talking, and he's like, doesn't the fact that we're still here fighting mean that we succeed of stopping the future from killing us? And Robert Pattinson basically says like, yeah, who's to know? Don't think about it too much. Which is something that they say several times in this movie that upsets me to no end. If you set up a sci-fi universe and then you tell me not to think about the rules, specifically say, you know what? Don't think about it. Feel it. Just feel it. Don't overthink. Fuck you. Set up rules that make sense. Don't use that as a cop-out.
Well, maybe that's the whole thing is there's not character development. There's just like, I feel it in the moment, so I'm going to do it. So they've killed his buddy, and now they got the things, and they pull out all his teeth, and then he has a clock.
We're like 3 minutes into this movie,
and he has a clock, which he turns it back, which is supposed to imply, I guess, I'm going to keep torturing you. Which, trust me, I don't know. So then he sees his buddy who's not dead is like fiddling with a pill. And so he's like, and someone's got to explain to me like why these pills look like they're in aluminum capsules as opposed to a fucking pill.
So you think that it's a bullet and not a suicide pill?
But it doesn't look like a bullet. It looks like a fucking pill made out of aluminum.
I don't know, man.
So stupid. So
I didn't write the movie.
His eye is all fucked up, and then he jumps. And let me tell you something. When your blood vessels in your eye explode, I think that takes like a month or more to heal. by the way. So I don't know how.
Oh, really?
Yeah, right, Shannon. Blood vessels in an eye, that does not heal in a day or two.
Probably not.
It's disgusting too. So he should be this way through the rest of the stupid
Dan,
movie.
have you ever inverted a popped
shut up.
popped blood vessel? Because you don't know.
6-day inversion in your ass. So he jumps down there and gobbles up the pill, and then he wakes up. Do you want to talk about this? This might have been where I got the most angry, is what happens next.
In the hospital bed? I guess it's not really a hospital bed.
The whole explanation of the dude and what his new thing that he's doing is.
That it's a test? Which part upset you? Let's hear your side of it.
Okay.
What
part of it was a test?
Okay, no, I agree. Yes, I agree 100%.
So is their government? Are they? Is like the stupid 2 Russians? They're part of the test.
I think yes.
So wait a second.
I want to say yes.
So what they did, our government hired him to go get this guy, and then we also hired evil Russians to torture him, to test him, to make him prove that. But first of all, he didn't prove he was a good soldier because he took on a completely different mission, right? Would you trust him
100%.
after that?
Yes. No, it's like you don't follow orders, go home. You're dishonorably discharged, go home. I don't want to see you anymore.
Part 2, the government how does the government test him? By killing all of his men. But they are really dead, right? No, they're dead.
Because he said they don't make them out. They don't make it out. All your dudes are dead.
Yeah.
So
no,
I have to believe
the Russians killed his friend who's lying on the floor dead. Right?
Is he really dead? I don't know.
Yeah, because
we never see him again, so I guess he has to be dead.
Because the Russian guy's like, your friend couldn't keep a secret, and now he's dead, or whatever. So he's dead. Your whole team is dead. So through this test, I've killed your whole team, and now I'm saying, come work for me, because you proved that you're loyal enough to work for me, the person who's just going to kill your team, to test you for no reason?
All I'm hearing right now is that you think I'm special. That's it. Sign me up. I'm in. You think I'm the chosen one. I'm ready to go. Let's go to war.
And the whole idea that they replaced all of his teeth.
Okay, yeah, that was the part. I thought that's what you were going to say upset you the most, because that pissed me off. I was like, wait, you rebuilt his entire mouth? That is so much work. That is a ton of dental work, first of all. And I'm not even sure you can do that. Is that possible?
Sure, you could make him full dentures. Yeah, you could rebuild his whole mouth, but yeah,
he's got no real teeth left.
It'd be dentures, and he'd have to be taking care of those at night, and probably like inverted dentures probably have a big problem, I would assume. Like the polydent probably doesn't stick, and so they're probably always falling out in the middle of a mission.
Yeah. It probably just like sets on fire, because that's the inverse of sticking, right? I don't fucking know.
And it's things like that you're like, okay, wait a second. You tortured your guy and pulled out all of his teeth, and then magically his teeth are back in his mouth, and more importantly...
And they look great, by the way.
Who the fuck saved him? Who the fuck saved him? I mean, I think there's like 12 instances in this movie where like all this shit happens off stage, and you're like, who called it in? How did they know he was there? Well, I don't understand any of this.
In general, I feel like almost more of the interesting things happen off screen, and then we talk about them.
Yes, absolutely.
Then we take 8 pages to talk about them, and they're like, and now we're on to the next plan. Cut to the next conversation. Well, that plan didn't go quite as well as we had hoped. Fuck you guys.
So then we learned the gesture, Tenet. Oh god, that was so stupid. And then this dumb fuck, this piece of shit mouthpiece that's doing things says, here's the gesture, say Tenet. This will open right doors and wrong doors. You got to be careful who you say it to.
Sure. Okay. So I'll just say it to nobody. Because that's the only way I can be for sure that everything's fine. And correct me if I'm wrong, because, I hardly watch this movie in the end. Does it ever open a wrong door?
Almost. There's like one tiny scene where Kenneth Branagh, hyperactive, bullshit, fake ass Russian piece of shit garbage, says
He's
the magic
like a
words.
60s Bond villain, Dan. He would be right at home in like Goldfinger. Like it is ridiculous.
Except he's no fun, and Goldfinger is fun.
You're right about that.
Yeah. So at one point, he feeds him the line. Branagh feeds him the line, and that is the only
that's
time.
right. Yeah. The crow sleeps at night, whatever the fuck their passcode is.
Twilight children like to play in the road and get hit by cars. Oh, shut the fuck up.
You're in, Tenet. Get over here.
So then he hides inside the sea windmill and does push-ups, because...
Why does he have to hide in the windmill?
I'll tell you. See, I've read a bunch about this stupid movie, and then I rewatched some stuff. Later on, he's traveling by boat backwards past the sea windmills. When they're traveling by boat to try to get back to some place, I don't even know which one it was.
I think it's the happy place, right?
Yeah, probably Vietnam. That's when he was probably driving by himself, and so he didn't want himself to see himself.
So he had to be locked up.
60 yards away from where his self was. As opposed to just putting him in a hotel in Tangiers.
Anywhere. Really anywhere else.
Put him in there because I think this is like my dad was very enamored with big installations, the big satellites and the big dishes and things. Sure. And so at a point he went to these places and he'd talk his way into them and go see them because he really liked them. I think that's what this is. I think Nolan just wants to play around on these big boats and go to these windmills and do all these stupid things and be able to say, okay, have that helicopter do this and that I think it's just like him playing fantasy.
Which we'll actually talk about this more later, but we watched this thing on Die Hard where that's exactly how Die Hard is made, but just done well. Where they found the building and they're like, you know what, the top of that building needs to blow up, but John needs to be jumping off because that would be so cool. And then they have to figure out how to do it. It's all great, but you have to have interesting ideas for that to work. You can't just be like, I just want to watch the windmill spin. That's it. I think that's really cool. Just put it on a big screen. People will love it. Yeah.
And have him climb up to the halfway point and do push-ups up there.
And then do
as opposed to as opposed to 2 feet off the ground.
Right? What are you doing?
No.
Stop being an idiot.
It's way cooler.
I was hoping he was going to slip and just fall down the pipe just all the way down. Now, Dan, I'm going to ask you a classic Tony question here. And please hold your your belittling. Are those real? Are these sea windmills? Is that a real thing?
Real. Yeah, of course.
Well, then they are cool, and I do wish he did something better with them.
They're super cool. Of course they're super cool, and they're beautiful. I mean, it's just like when we get to those beautiful catamaran boats. The catamarans, whatever. The double hull. These things are beautiful. We'll get to that shit. So then he steals a car, and he does a clipboard bit to break in someplace. Oh, this is when he goes to get the understanding about the bullets and all that bullshit.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I didn't really write down anything in that because it was dumb.
I mean, the only thing I wrote down is that she was like, hey, we don't want to know anything about each other. That's really all you need to know from that scene, is that sometimes things run backwards, entropy backwards. There you go.
I'm going to say this. Scientist lady, way hotter than the female lead of this movie.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But not as tall. So, she's got that going for her.
So, of course, you're like, okay, now he has to be all super brilliant. And he's like, how are we going to find the bad guy? Chase the bullets. Like, okay, whatever. Super stupid.
Hold on. You know what? I did write down a bunch of things about this scene with the scientist lady.
Yeah.
I just want to hit 2 highlights real quickly. Okay. One, she's like, we're preventing a war. And this is the first of many, 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 many times we hear that nuclear holocaust is not the worst thing that can happen. Yeah. We've got a cold war going on in the temporal space. Oh my God. It's so vague of it, like of an explanation of the danger
Yeah.
that I never feel it. He's just like, it's worse than nuclear holocaust. No, it's not. It can't be. Nuclear holocaust wipes us out and then destroys the earth. All entropy does is just moves it backwards, right? So really, I mean, we would stop existing technically, right? But our like my dad would be young again. Is that how it works?
Okay, we're gonna sort of go there.
Unpack it for me, Dan.
I have the feeling that the evil future people are going to somehow be existing and be traveling backwards in time, living their lives. Some of them will.
Yeah, okay. Yep, I agree.
So we won't all be dead. We'll just all be sort of traveling backwards. I'm going to ask you this question, Tony. Do you know why the evil future people are angry at us?
Isn't it global warming? Or sorry, climate change. Sorry, that was wrong. I know that and I own that. But it's climate change, which isn't that also what happens in Interstellar?
I don't care.
Don't we just
I don't know.
Hold
Interstellar.
on.
If you
You
really
liked
want to
Interstellar less than you like this movie? Oh, this is deep thoughts. Deep thoughts with Dan Goodsell.
I would probably watch Interstellar again before I would watch this
Okay.
movie. Yeah.
The one thing I will say about Interstellar, it also doesn't make a ton of sense, obviously, but at least there's an emotional thread through that movie that I feel. And that's probably all because of McConaughey is an actual, like, he's able to sell it to me. But like, I get emotional when I watch that movie, the one time that I watched it.
Sure.
But this movie, there's no emotional thread through this movie.
No.
So it's just a bunch of shit happening that I don't care about.
And I think what's her name's more attractive in Interstellar than this woman. And then I started watching Inception last night, and that woman, man, with the mole, like the mole on her forehead. I'm sorry, man.
I don't even remember. I thought that I liked Christopher Nolan until I watched this movie and I started thinking about all the Nolan movies. And I was like, I don't think I do like him. I genuinely enjoy his earlier work.
Well,
like I know that we disagree, but The Prestige,
Prestige
I love
is good.
that movie.
Yeah. No, I mean,
so good.
And whatchamacallit's Memento's a great movie, but
Memento's great.
He's always trying to remake Memento. And it's like, stop trying to remake Memento.
Yeah.
Memento was perfect. You made a perfect thing. It worked perfectly because he had it all. And that's the whole thing is Memento really is a flow chart, right? You sit down and you work out the flow chart, and then what's his name's in Memento too, right? That's what's that dude's name? Guy Pearce, who's incredible.
Yeah, phenomenal actor.
Guy Pearce is, there's this Robert Pattinson Guy Pearce movie about the future that you should see. Really super depressing, but
okay.
Robert Pattinson
doesn't sound like something I'll watch.
Plays a very not smart guy, and the world is falling apart. Great, and you're just like, Guy Pearce, you rock the system because you care. He's visceral, and he's like in it, and like this movie. You're like, oh my god, no one's visceral. Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah, Becoming War. They're angry. Cabinet Land. Did they have a big thing where there's big cabinets full of stuff? Oh, I like that room with all the flat files, that are 200 feet tall. It was cute. I love those.
Sure, it was cute.
So
it was adorable.
Now he's in Mumbai and he calls Pattinson, and we got to go break into the tall building.
So who is Robert Pattinson? Why does he call him?
That's the big mystery. Who is Robert Pattinson?
I know who.
Who is he?
Yeah.
Who is he?
I mean, I know who he is later. I don't understand why past Washington calls Pattinson.
Oh, just
I don't understand
bullshit connections. It's your classic. I need a fixer, and then he looks in his fixer book, and then his name is magically in there because Robert Pattinson came back from the future and wrote his name in there under fixers. It's just something dumb like that. It's just these arbitrary magical. It's like who is what's his name? Old guy that gives him the Goya drawing. It's like who is this?
Michael Caine.
Yeah, it's just bullshit plot devices that you've just written in there based on nothing. But that's the one real Easter egg in the whole movie, which is actually kind of it. The one thing interesting to think about is Robert Pattinson's character is in this movie in 2 different iterations. What's the other iteration?
What? Iteration?
He's the son of the stupid blonde tall woman.
Do you think so?
Absolutely. It's like a fan theory, but it absolutely is. And I'm sure it burns old stupid Christopher Nolan's butthole that he's never going to get to put it in another movie, and all the fans theorized it into existence. Yeah, he absolutely is, because there's too much. He knows his drinks, and he's like, we've known each other for many, many years. It's so specific that they've known each other. You used to sleep with my mom, and I used to watch Doolittle People.
I don't remember that line in the movie, Dan. Okay.
That's in part
I would have
2.
wrote that down and be like, star, this is a good line.
Yeah, I really think he is the stupid kid.
Okay.
And that's why he should die.
I wish that they would have whatever.
So, talk to me about the assault on the weapons dealer building. Their invasion of the weapons dealer building.
Oh,
bungee jump.
When they invert the bungees? Is that what they did?
No, actually,
I honestly...
What?
I honestly, I couldn't tell if they were inverting the building run or if it was just like a device that like propels you really fast at first, because it was kind of scary.
Yeah, basically it's just they ratchet up a bungee and then it shoots them up there, and they calculate it just right for your weight so that you're going to slow down and land, which that's fine.
That's cool then.
It's a cool Christopher Nolan thing, and he has some cool things like this in the movie, but they're just like sort of instant throwaways that you don't really get it. So they rocket themselves up to the top of the building, and we start with some of the worst takedowns in history.
Just the weird chokeholds that A, aren't even around their windpipes, and B, are instantaneous. Is that real?
He walks up to a guy and he goes like this, and the guy just dies.
And he goes, just like, it's like, is that Spock that has the pressure point that he pushes and you just, and you just fall down? Maybe that's real. Maybe there's a nerve that I don't know about that just immediately shuts it all down.
He snapped his neck. He went like this. And the guy acting was like this. And just dies.
Wait, are you telling me that he did snap his neck for real?
I think so, yeah.
All I saw was him kind of like move the guy. Well, yeah, no, that guy's dead. That extra's dead. Yeah. Tough day at the office.
And in I think in one of the airport scenes, maybe in the second airport scene, there's a guy driving a little truck, and he walks up to him and he goes like this, punch in the face. And the guy's just like, unconscious.
Yeah. This has some of the worst action I've ever seen, except for one scene, which I liked. I don't remember what scene that was now. I remember thinking,
we'll get to it and you'll remember. But I wrote down at a certain point, I wrote bloodless. This whole movie is bloodless. Yep. There's no consequences for the brutalities that really, like you watch a James Bond movie and he has to beat people up and he gets his ass kicked, and a human being does not just want to snap your fingers and fall over dead. He should have just been up there with a gun with a silencer, and he should have just been like,
yeah. If you're going to kill him, that's the fastest way. But except for he's got a secret judo move. So, who are we to say? You're dead.
So then we find out that the dealer is not the man, it's the wife, and instead,
which is a pretty funny joke about sexism.
I loved it. It's really nice.
Yeah. I was like, oh, cool.
But of course, she's impossible to get anywhere near, and then she spends every other scene just walking around the world. Here I am. Maybe the dude just sits up there. I don't know. And so somehow
the red herring.
Yeah, somehow she's a member of Tenet. So if she's a member of Tenet, then if we're really thinking about it, he would have recruited her, And he could have just said to her, well, why don't you just send me an email and tell me where the fuck I need to go next?
Well, because as we see at the end, she doesn't know that he is. So he keeps it, secret.
But he knows, right? He set this all up in 20 years, in 1945,
Well,
when
yeah,
he's working
future him
backwards.
knows, but past him doesn't know.
See, but that's the whole proof of future things is if you could really change the future, he'd just tell her through whatever machinations to tell him where the bullets are coming from, right?
No, instead he just kills her.
Yeah, he does kill her at the end for no reason, but we're going to talk about that magic phone later.
Okay. All right. We'll put a pin in it.
So she gives him all this information to push him on his road, and then they jump off.
So much information. Oh my God. And we had 30 seconds of so-called action while he's like, deek, 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 everyone's dead. And then 8 pages of dialogue. That is not the right balance, Dan.
And then they jump off the building, and they have these cool rope things on their back that let the rope out, and so that they land really nicely. And they cut the rope, and they just literally walk away in 1 second. They don't have to do anything. There is there's like no jeopardy in anything.
What are you talking? It's a real daring escape, Dan.
Is it?
You got to blend in with the people. Oh no!
I will say there's only one time in this whole movie where the hero is flummoxed, and it's a broken pick, and it lasts for like 2 seconds. Like, because they also set up everything has to happen in 10 seconds. So you're like,
in 10 seconds, yeah.
I guess he's going to solve this in 2 seconds because we only have 10 seconds. That's a bomb in the oven. So now he meets Michael Caine, and what does Michael Caine do, Tony?
Chews up the scenery, baby. That guy's going for it. I love it. I don't remember what they talked about. I know that this is what led him to the wife.
Yeah.
But I don't remember how or why. All I remember is I was like, this fucking guy can act. Oh, I love him.
So, Tony, I want you to explain to our viewers what hold the evil Russian has over his wife.
The son? Well, it's a fake. Okay, so she sold him a fake painting, or convinced him to buy a fake painting for a lot of money, and somehow that means that he can control her, I guess, out of embarrassment or something. And then he's like, hey, you want to see your son again? You better stay with me. Those are the two things that I understood from their relationship.
She is an art authenticator, and so she said something was authentic, which she owned,
which it wasn't.
Which she said, this is while she's married to him.
Okay.
And he buys it, and then she gets his money for no reason. There's no explanation as to why she needed this $6 million or whatever it is. And then he knows it's fake, and so he says, you gotta love me because I know this is fake, and I'll let it out that this is fake, and then you're gonna get in trouble and go to jail or something.
Yeah, it's something like that. And then also they have a son.
And they have a son. It isn't just
I just want you to know that she's a 3-dimensional character and has feelings for her son or something.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Which we never meet, we never see, we just kind of hear about.
We saw the son. He was like going to school.
We saw the back of his head in that scene, Dan, and then we see him on the boat from the side, and that's it.
And then we see him for the rest of the movie as Neil. Okay, so
if they would have tied that in, I maybe would have enjoyed that.
So we go through all this stuff. It's dumb. So then he goes to some place where she is. Is that where he was too? And these thugs show up, and they're gonna beat him up to teach him a lesson.
Oh, he meets her. She's eating food, and he like goes to meet her to like talk to her. Hey, I want. Yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then, oh, no, this is the scene. You're right, Dan. You were right. This is the action scene that I actually enjoy.
Oh, okay.
Is him kicking the shit out of those guys in the kitchen. That's the only, in my opinion, that is the only choreographed fight scene in the entire movie. Everything else to me just feels like Christopher Nolan be like, I don't know, just do some things. Just kind of swing at each other and tangle.
Would it have been a better scene if there'd have been some actual give or take. I mean,
Well, sure.
he just beats the shit out of like 4 guys. He cheese graters a guy, he frying pans a guy. He's just like bang, 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 bing, bing, bang, boom, boom, and then he's out the back door, and the guys have been ineffective. Did anybody ever pull a gun?
No, I don't know if they had guns. I think it was more of a fisticuffs meeting. It's more of a warning, Dan. It's like, hey, you, we're gonna fight you.
Now, typical bad guys, do they just do fisticuffs, or if you're kicking their asses, do they usually escalate?
No, they usually have like a machine gun strapped around themselves just in case, and then like one in the holster, like a ankle holster as a backup. But I do enjoy like him cheese grating the guy's face was a cool moment.
It was.
And it's the only cool moment in the movie.
There it is. Cheese grater, only cool.
That might be a hot take because I know people like the inverted building blowing up. I thought that was shitty.
Okay, we're gonna get to
it. Dumb.
Wow, we're through 2 pages and we've only been on for 2.5 hours.
I know, Dan. This is a long one.
Okay, so find out. Okay, so we have the whole setup where they go to the Freeport and then they're breaking into the Freeport to see what's in his vault. But he's going to also steal the Goya drawing to save the girl, maybe, even though he never even mentions it or acts like it's a thing.
I think he was lying.
Okay, Tony.
Was he lying to her?
Who the fuck cares?
I don't know.
So, Tony, I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay, go.
Okay, imagine yourself. You wear cashmere suits. You're super wealthy. You're like oligarch Tony.
Yeah.
Right?
This is great.
You have all of your art stored in this Freeport place. You know, like you've got Picassos, you've got Manets, you've got Giacomettis. You don't know what any of those things are.
Well.
You're doing well. Do you want the guy who rents out the spaces there to have motherfuckers walk through your vault?
To giving a tour of like where I store all of my priceless valuables.
You have priceless valuables, and this dipshit has a key to your priceless valuables and just walks fucking Joe Blow and his friend through there. What the fuck?
Yeah. No, he shouldn't even be able to get in there.
No,
it should be like a 2-key process where I have to be there with him with my key or my finger or my eye or my blood, something that it makes it actually fucking secure. Other than, but they have a great defense system where they just suck the air out of the place, which is kind of fun.
I mean, in real life, when you go to look at a box or a secure thing, they show you a fucking empty one. This is what you'll get. It'll have the gas canisters. You can see what it is, but they're not showing you one full of art. It's a staging
room.
Yes.
Yeah, we show you the demo. It's a staging room. This is what it looks like. This is what it does. Put it in here and it'll go back there. You'll never see it again. Don't worry.
It's so stupid. Okay, so they suss it out. And so then, Robert Pattinson had the plane thing. So they're like, they run a plane into the building.
Yeah.
While they're inside.
Do they run it? It's like they walk it.
They slowly drive it while pushing all these gold bars. Wait, were they pushing the gold bars out? Wait.
They were pushing something out.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that was the gold bars. So wait a second. So they don't just steal any old plane. They steal a plane that is full of $20 billion worth of gold bars.
Is that the future gold?
I don't know. It's just
I don't know either.
So dumb.
But so here's a question on pyrotechnics. This slow-moving plane that runs over like 15 cars and just drags them along, when it hits the building at that slow of a pace, is it gonna blow up?
Oh, no. No, there's nothing to blow up.
I didn't think so either, because it blew up and I was like, I think it would just kind of run into it and then stop. It's like, oh, there's something in my way. I'm done.
I believe with these kind of planes, unless I'm incorrect, I think there's gas storage all in the wings, isn't there?
I mean, I don't know.
There's no gas
when
up at the front.
When they fuel it up, they're always in the wing.
Yeah, it's in the wing, and probably I think it's in the wings. I think most of the fuel tanks are in the wings. And doesn't the front left sort of blow up for some reason?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So
I don't know.
So they're
Whatever.
inside, and we have the one big tense moment where he's like doing the lock picks, and they break.
Which, I mean, that was, again, it was fine.
Yes.
But like you said, it's literally 10 seconds. Why do the, I mean, whatever. Like they have like action sequences, but they're all so short. For a 2.5-hour movie, we have maybe 5 action sequences, and they take up maybe 2 minutes. Tops.
So we get inside the vault, and then we have the big backwards fight. And did you instantly know he was fighting himself?
I didn't know it was himself, but I was like, it's one of them. It's one of the two of these guys. It's clearly,
sure.
Yeah. And it's such a bad fight. It's terrible. I think this is the longest fight of the movie.
Probably.
And I was so bored. And thank God we get to see it a second time, end to end. We see the whole thing twice. So out of the 5 action sequences we have, we really only have 4 action sequences, because one of them is the same thing in reverse, and it looks just as bad in reverse as it does forward. I was livid.
I mean, you think about some of the fight scenes in like the Harley Quinn movie, and you're like, these are fight scenes. These are bones getting broken.
Hell yeah.
These are people fighting where there's stakes involved. This thing is just like, I'm fighting, but I know I can't shoot you, and I'm emptying out a bullet. You know, he did the stupid take the gun apart during the middle of a fight twice in this movie. Twice.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, kind of 3 times if you think about it, because again, this one happens twice, Stan. But yeah, yeah, he does that move 2 separate occasions. But, and like, I understand that the idea is that one of them is defending and not like fighting as much. But like that, then why? That's such a boring fight.
Such a boring fight. So he goes out to the boat. He meets Kenneth Branagh, and this is when Kenneth starts talk about Kenneth Branagh's performance, which he said he spent more time working on this performance than any other performance in his career. He said that.
What does that even mean? Because all he did was put on a shitty Russian accent. Is he Russian? Maybe it's not even like putting on accent. Maybe this is just how he talks. He doesn't sound. Okay, good, because he doesn't. Oh man, my headset just talked to me. He doesn't sound like a human being. He sounds like a cartoon villain from like the 1950s. Yes. And not even in a fun way, just like all the bad parts of that where you're like, whoa, boy, this is ridiculous. It's really bad, Dan. It's bad. And all these people that I read that are like defending the movie are like, it's an homage to like old spy thrillers. Which I guess I understand what you're saying, but it's not. Like, it's not that, because it's not fun. All those movies are like fun, exciting movies. That's like their whole thing. This is none of those things. And it's just everything's bad. I hate everything.
So they have this whole sort of dinner thing, and he says, I know where the secret plutonium is, and he's interested in the secret plutonium, so he's not going to kill him. And then he's like, come back tomorrow, we'll go sailing. And then they're sailing on these super cool boats, right?
Yes, I guess they're super cool. I thought that they were just weird. Are they real? Again, I'm not sure,
totally real.
But I don't understand them. Why do they go up?
It's like a hydrofoil. So what a hydrofoil is that if you reach a certain speed, you can have this sort of thing come up there, and it cuts down the surface area of the thing. So the boat's not touching a lot of water. It just rides on that.
Is it to make it go faster because there's less friction?
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're seemingly racing with someone who we don't know who they are.
We never meet.
Mm-hmm. We have no idea why they're racing. There's nothing to prove. We have no idea what is even happening.
Nope.
And then she throws Kenneth Branagh off the boat.
So here's my biggest problem with this scene. And I don't know if I didn't understand a word that they fucking said in this scene.
Oh, okay.
It's muffled. The wind noise is I guess they're going for realism, but like they're screaming into these microphones and they're just like it's like, what is happening? I hate this movie. And then she just throws him off the boat, and I was like, cool, end the scene. Let's just get out of here. Let's move on.
Move on to Act 3. Kenneth Branagh's character's
Right.
dead. We're gonna get to the
gone.
real
I don't even
villain.
care.
No, the protagonist jumps off there and saves him.
Because he needs him. Wow.
So now I wrote this here. I wrote, he's short.
Washington?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's really short. Should
You
you
know who else is short? Tom Cruise. Great action star.
do they usually cast women that are 6'7" versus Tom Cruise?
No, because that would be too many apple boxes for Tom to stand on.
More importantly, would Tom Cruise stand on those apple boxes so at least he could occasionally meet her gaze?
I mean, I guess he probably would, but he'd be yelling about it the whole time. He'd be like, why don't we just put her on her knee? Nope, that sounds bad. That's not what I mean. Sorry. I take it back. He's good.
So for some reason, they love in a few of these things to like really accentuate how tall she is and how little he is. And I mean, it's like, you don't need to do this, just kind of do like this. You can make her taller than him, but do you really need to like have her like freakishly towering over him? It's really weird.
Apparently they do. Maybe it means something that we don't understand. Because I think everyone who defends the movie will basically just say, well, you just didn't understand it.
No,
it's too complex for you. And my thing is, convoluted does not equal complex. I understand what's happening. I just think it's done poorly and stupidly.
And I think that's the whole aspect of this movie. We'll talk about all this later because this is going to be 1,000 hours long.
Yeah.
I call it the Easter egg goodness, the Easter egginess. And what it is people mistake these Easter eggs for content. And it's not. It's what it is it's rubbing a little spot on you. Oh, that feels good. I like that. And that's all it is. It's like in The Mandalorian. You told me what happens in The Mandalorian, and everybody likes it. We love Baby Yoda because we're like, Baby Yoda is like Yoda, but a baby. We understand that.
But cute.
We understand instantly what Baby Yoda is. And he's cute, and he's fun, and he's a little puppet, and he eats bugs, and we like that. And we think it's something there, but it's unless there's something real behind it, unless you really feel for him, and you're like, oh my god, I hope something bad doesn't happen to Baby Yoda. It doesn't mean anything past that. And like this movie, it's like, I've solved the puzzle. You see, that was Robert Pattinson's character at the beginning. I've solved the puzzle. It's like,
who cares?
It doesn't make it a good movie if you solved the puzzle. You solved the puzzle.
Yeah.
There's a million puzzles in the world.
And my thing is, the plot of this movie is actually not confusing or convoluted. It's super basic. Like the literal plot of the movie is very, very boring. But they dress it up with all this like time bending stuff to make it seem more confusing than it really is.
Basically, the plot of the movie is the guy has a bomb to destroy the world, and you have to stop that bomb. That is the whole stupid movie.
And it's not done well. If you take away the time travel aspect of this movie, it's very boring. It is a dumb, poorly written movie.
Okay, we're going to get to all that. So,
all right.
So then he's on the boat. He sees inverted gold. We find out that Kenneth Branagh's character found a box that had instructions on what he was supposed to do throughout his whole life.
Mm-hmm.
He keeps doing his whole pulse thing, which was really dumb.
His pulse thing.
He has
he checks his pulse?
He checks his pulse. They did it like 3 or 4 times where he was like, you can't get me excited. And like he checked it during different things to show like how cool and calm he was, which is like,
no, you're right. Because then in the car accident, he's like, "You got my pulse up to 121. Nobody's done that, not even my wife," or something stupid. It's like, what? What are we talking about?
Hold on 1 second. Let's unpack that line for 1 second. You're obsessed with this woman. If I can't have you, no one can have you. That's his whole stupid line. I don't even know when he said it. It's one of the dumbest lines you can have a character say. And having a character say that, they should take away any writing awards you've ever been given, because that is the laziest line I've ever heard.
Yes.
His pulse rate does not go up when he's getting it on with his wife.
I took that to that they don't do it. They just don't. There's no sex in the relationship. Okay, she's just arm candy.
One and done. And come on, arm candy. Oh, Jesus. So now we have the Great Plutonium Robbery.
Which one's this?
That's when they park 17 trucks around another truck, and then they...
Oh, the Die Hard.
The Die Hard, is that what you call it?
So it starts as Die Hard and then morphs into, what's the movie where they cut out the floor? Is it that Fast and the Furious where they like literally take out the ground, like the cement, and it falls into a tunnel, and then they steal whatever they're trying to see? Listen, this is a dumb sequence of events, and I hated it. But they lined up like 18 yellow buses at some point, and I was like, oh, it's the dump trucks from Die Hard. I remember this. I don't know.
So he re-steals the widget, which is somehow in this thing. Maybe it's another widget from the widget, but we don't know.
Well, because there's like 9 Horcruxes, right?
Yeah, there's 9 Horcruxes.
Because that's what they are. They stole that from Harry Potter, dude.
Like, that's about bullshit. If you're gonna steal something from Harry Potter, don't steal literally the stupidest thing in Harry Potter. You know, it's like,
you don't like the Horcruxes?
Don't like is a soft way to put it. Do I think it's one of the dumbest things anyone has ever put in a book? Yeah, it's pretty stupid. Just from the standpoint of, like, you know, it's like your whole thing. You solved one problem. Oh yeah, there's 8 more problems, i.e. there's 4 more books. Yeah, you know,
and it's just a quest line. It's like D&D. You just got to go do the quest, come back, go do the quest, come back.
But it's not like it's like one thing. No, 9 things. You're like, 9 things?
Oh,
what the fudge?
Not this again.
So basically what we sort of learn is that we're going to be running 2 things at once. They're going forward and backward.
The temporal pincer move.
Dick pincer. Ugh, so stupid. And we get to see Kenneth Branagh with the mask on, you know, doing his Bane, driving backwards, and then he's also in the backwards thing, and everyone's backwards. And
I have questions, Dan.
Yeah.
On how inversion works. And that sounds more broad than I specifically driving the cars.
Yeah.
That's my question, because so Kenneth Branagh is inverted. That's why he's got the Darth Vader mask, right?
It's like a clue to let us know he's inverted.
But the car is not inverted.
Nope. So he's driving it backwards.
Technically.
Forward backwards.
So why, when Washington, in this scene, we see the silver car that he's in later is in reverse crashing? But technically the car is not inverted, right? So the car would crash forwards. He would just experience it backwards. Yeah. So why? I don't understand why the car crashes in reverse. Backwards?
Did it? 100%,
yes.
When he's watching it from the initial stealing point of view, it shouldn't. It should, yes, because it's not inverted. It should just be driving normally.
It should just crash normally. But it shouldn't be hard.
They acted like it was hard for him to drive, right? And it shouldn't be hard for him to drive at all, because it's just a car. It's going to look,
unless the car is inverted. Because he's touching it or in it or something.
No, the car can't be inverted. You can't invert a whole. I mean, you could invert a whole car. I understand
that, but they show me that it's inverted because it crashes. So I don't. I'm at this point. I quit the movie. This is where I quit the movie.
And I mean, that's the whole thing is we see all this stuff played off twice because that's what we want to see. So this whole if you want to, it's really only an hour and 15-minute movie. We just wanted to watch the stupid movie twice. But that's one of the whole things about it is they also, how did Kenneth Branagh's guy get the widget?
Yeah. Oh, I have no idea.
No, you have no idea.
I have no idea.
You have no idea how he got the widget. It's just like, this is stupid.
And why does if the car is not inverted, when it explodes, and I'm jumping ahead again, I apologize.
Yeah.
When he sets the match, fire comes at the car, but it freezes instead of blows up, because that's the inverted entropy of an explosion is freezing. Maybe I don't actually, I'll be honest, I don't understand entropy all the way, but why would it freeze if the car wasn't also inverted?
More importantly, why would the gasoline light if the gasoline was inverted?
Yes, right. None of that makes any sense.
Because nothing in this movie makes any sense. The whole, and just like, and the whole idea is you can't breathe the air on the other side. You're like, what the fuck are you talking about? If things were like that backwards, then nothing would work. More importantly, how does the GPS on his phone work? His inverted phone that it was in his pocket work towards telling him where he needs to go? That does not make any sense.
Don't make any fucking sense. And there's so much exposition. So here's my thing.
Because there's not enough exposition in the world to explain. And that was the whole thing. If you want to go back to Interstellar, right? That was the whole thing with Interstellar is they set up these rules for these different worlds. Big wave world, big always a storm world or whatever. Each of the worlds had like some sort of bit of magic to it that they wanted to have happen.
A gimmick.
Yeah, a gimmick that they wanted to have happen.
Yeah.
And so basically Nolan and his big brain sat in a room with somebody who knows stuff. And then they said, well, there could be a world that was like this that might do this thing. And he's like, okay, I'm doing it. And like your Die Hard thing, he wanted to reverse engineer it. So somebody said entropy. Well, in an entropic world, fire would be ice and ice would be fire. And he's like, oh my God, I could do this scene where there's a car blowing up, but he lives only because it turns to ice. Blah, 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 blah. That's what it is. It's stupid.
I don't. So here's my general, and I was going to save this for my final thoughts, but my general feeling is if you want me to buy into a world that doesn't actually make sense, don't try to explain it to me for 70 fucking pages. I will go on a journey with you if you don't try to explain it. If you're just like, this is the magic world that we're in, let's just have fun. But you spend so much time in this movie trying to explain to me how things are working and talking about everything. I'm like, no. You pick one or the other. Either don't explain it and let me live in a sci-fi land and I'll have a great time with you, or explain it in a way that like makes sense and sounds really cool and I'll go along for the ride. But instead, it's just a piece of shit.
At a certain point, when you do too much explanation, you've set up a dynamic where the people want to understand. And it's like
100%, and that's on you.
It's like the movie Looper is a really good example of not going too far. It's like, you're like, oh, your brain kind of, you're like, they just give you enough. And it's more of a plot device as opposed to somebody setting up a science of a world. And
exactly,
just use it as a plot device, but use it intelligently.
100%.
It's because the whole temporal pincer movement, they do things based on that information, but they don't do the primary thing, which is the one team's going to tell you exactly what happens. You're not going to make the same. You're going to avoid certain mistakes. They're going to specifically say to you, oh, there's a tripwire in the tunnel, avoid it. But you can't do that because it's a locked system. And so the temporal pincer movement doesn't work.
Doesn't make sense.
It can't work. Period.
Yep. 100%.
It's like Pattinson's character could have just gone back there and gone back in time and then walked over to the guys and said there's a tripwire. Or more importantly, he'd have seen the tripwire being placed and he'd have left and then he'd have caught up to them and said there's a tripwire and then they'd have jumped over the tripwire.
Yep.
Or he could have said the code to the door is this. And then he could go get killed getting the code. But those are...
Why does he have to get killed? Can't he technically prevent that? I don't know.
Because he got told later that he was, it's just infinite amount of loops. And that's the thing, is if you set up infinite whatever. So
Yeah. All right. Sorry. Let's move on.
So everybody gets captured. They get put in this room, and then Kenneth Branagh inverts himself and then starts giving a whole speech. And this was one thing that really pissed me off, is he threatens the girl, right?
Yeah.
And Washington sees where the bullet hole is, right?
Yep.
So he knows she's not getting shot in the head.
100%.
And still he acts, and that should have been a whole gigantic point, is he should have acted as if he knew she wasn't going to get shot in the head. He acts like
he knows she's going to live.
But he doesn't act like that. He acts like she's going to get killed.
Of course. Yeah, because he's an idiot. Nolan's an idiot. You're absolutely yep. I agree. 100%.
So then, and of course, Branagh always has like a magic microphone to translate his backwards talk. like dude is like carrying the thing to put out there for everyone to hear his crystalline statue bullshit talk. Like, I'm destroying the world.
Yes. Yeah. I don't.
Okay. And if you touch yourself while you're inverted, then you blow up. How do you know that?
Which I don't know. How many people blew up before they figured that out? And I would have liked to see someone blow up at some point, just on accident.
Okay. So we do this whole thing, whatever, and then they get away and are traveling back in time. In like one of these hermetically sealed things, and then we get the whole thing. Oh, she's been shot, so they have to take her a week into the past, which somehow she's going to survive a week. We don't know how long and why these magic backwards bullets cause radiation, and why a bullet causes the radiation. Shouldn't any piece of metal I don't know.
No, it's because it's inverted, Dan. It's inverted. It's an inverted bullet. It's got radiation.
So
science.
This is when we get to the line that made me the angriest in the movie.
Oh, this is fun.
So
they're
in there, and Pattinson's there with his mom, and they're talking, and then we're talking about how if there gets to be too much entropy, then everything blows up and everyone dies. And then what does the stupid woman say? Including my son?
Even my son? Yeah. I wrote that down too, Dan.
Including my son. No, honey. The entire world blows up.
Everyone except for him.
And then he's just floating in space. Or it's just an empty Earth. All the people die, and it's just him alone. He's Adam, and there's no Eve, and he has to have sex with a rock. What the? How dumb are you?
Pretty dumb, man.
And more importantly, I'm spending all this time to save your dumb ass, and all you're worried about is you and yours. And that's exactly what is wrong with the world today. Is everybody only cares about themselves?
Well, this is Christopher Nolan's way of letting you know that she's a human and she has feelings. Just in case you forgot at some point that she has this thing with her son, even though they remind you every time she's on screen that she's got a son that she can't see and she wants to see and she wants to be with him. This is like the culminating moment of like, oh, wow, the world's going to end, but I'm only thinking of my son because I'm such a good person. Christopher Nolan, I don't think understands human emotion. And I think that's the problem with a lot of his work. Anyhow.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And that's pretty much the movie.
Wait. That's not the movie. We got more to do.
Do we have more to do? Okay, so.
Oh, yeah.
Then we do the backwards. We do the whole backwards airport. I don't think there's anything to really talk about during the backwards airport, is there?
No.
Other
than I feel like that's supposed to be a big reveal. Oh, God, what are you laughing at?
Just the whole idea that they do this whole backwards airport scene and we just like, really nothing happens there.
Because it doesn't.
We just sort of find out more of the rules where you have to step in and step out and backwards this and backwards that. So now we find out that the widget is actually 9 widgets, and more importantly, he has all 9 of the widgets.
Yeah. Which is, first of all, I don't even remember who disclosed that information.
I don't know. It's probably.
But why
It's
did
probably
did they just learn that?
Yeah.
Is that new information to them?
To the protagonist?
Well, to the protagonist, sure, but to the person who just told them, who I assume we've met more than once in the movie, didn't they already know that? So why is I don't know. I don't know
who tells them that. And they
All
hit
right.
it. More importantly, that we get this whole. It must have been him walking in India with the arms dealer lady.
With the lady
I think
again?
that was
Okay.
that whole scene where she explains everything like that, and we get this whole weird thing where it's like they hid them all, and this woman in the future comes up with this thing which is supposed to do something. And so she says it's too powerful, and so she sends it into the past and has different people hide it.
And I believe that is J.K. Rowling who creates this device and sends it back to Hyde. I believe.
Between all of her anti-trans statements.
Oh, yeah, she's a bad one. She's naughty. Naughty girl.
Naughty girl. And then somebody says, you are the protagonist, I guess, because I wrote that down. And then he has someone...
I believe this is the scene where he's like, I'm the protagonist. She's like, you're a protagonist. It's so dumb.
And then I guess he says at one point during this whole thing, she and her son will be safe, right? Give me your word. Like, why does he
as if he's grown to care.
Why does he
no
care
idea.
about this stupid woman? And we're gonna go back to the thing. Okay, this is the big argument we've had a million times. We're having it again. Tony, save the universe or save the stupid woman?
In general, my answer to this is save the woman. In this movie, it's save the world because I don't care about them. They barely have a relationship in this movie. It's not like this is my love, my one true love. I have to protect her because I'm all for that. I'm all for love over everything else. You know that. But that's not the case in this movie. It's just like, I met her. She's kind of cool. I should probably save her instead of the world. I just don't buy it in this movie. I think he thinks that.
If it was Robert Pattinson's character that was going through heaven and earth to save her, I'd be like, oh, because that's her son.
And that would be a more interesting movie. I mean, it's Terminator, but it's still interesting at least.
Maybe they get married.
What, did you figure it out?
I figured it out. Robert Pattinson is his son.
Oh. See, Dan, all of that is more interesting than what I get in this movie.
That's what
I'd be okay with it. Because then, it's the classic Kyle Reese, Sarah Connor, John Connor. It's great. That's a great... Oh, fuck. Terminator's so much better than this movie.
Oh, yeah. Terminator's 1,000 times better than this garbage. So then we have a bunch of exposition where we find out that if evil oligarch dies, the world ends because he's got a magic switch hooked up to his butthole and he's dying.
And by the way, can we just say that it's way too late to have another exposition dump at this point? Like we should be
we still have 3 or 4
we should
to
be
go.
throttling we should be throttling towards a climax right now. But instead we keep just slamming on the brakes. We're in rush hour traffic trying to get someplace 2 miles away and we just can't get there.
So this is the point. So here we are. She's healed. They've sent her through the thing. They're going to send her back a bonus day, and then she's going to go to the boat. I don't even know why you need to kill. Why do you even need to kill him?
Well, she needs to distract him and make sure he doesn't kill himself until they defuse the bomb, and then he can die.
Why don't they just go to the day before he was thinking about blowing up? They know his happiest day.
Because that's less dramatic.
Why don't you just go to the day before his happiest day? Because he's going to still be living on his happiest day, right?
Because that's too much time, Dan. That's way too much time to give our protagonist to actually do something. So he gets 10 seconds.
Now we're gonna talk about the magic telephone. Do you want to talk about the magic telephone?
I really don't, because I don't understand how they're communicating.
No. This is the magic telephone. So
which one's you go first.
There's so many magic telephones in this movie. It's a million magic telephones. He gives the stupid woman A magic telephone. If you're ever in trouble, give me a call on this telephone.
Sure. Yeah.
Who gave him that
Okay.
telephone?
He did.
He gave himself the telephone?
He, future himself, sent it back in the mail.
He gets
and
a
was
FedEx?
like, this is a secret phone. It's a FedEx.
He gets a FedEx for
He UPS'd
himself?
it. It was on time.
He tracked it. He's watching it on his phone. So he gives her
the
this
future
magic...
phone. He's like, it's been delivered.
And how is this magic phone connected to him in any way?
I have no idea. I don't even know how communication works in this world, if I'm being honest.
Basically, the idea is he's giving her this magic phone which will talk to somebody who will then be able to send a person back in time so that they show up early enough to save her.
That's
Interesting concept, not stated, not explained. It's like, and we're going to get to, God, there's so much shit we still have to deal with. Okay, calming down. So we're doing the temporal pincher movement. What is their plan? What are they? We're getting to the giant final war. What is supposed to be happening in this war?
I don't know, Dan. I don't. I honestly, so this final action sequence, I put in quotes around it because it's really just people running around shooting at nothing as far as I can tell.
Blowing up buildings for no reason.
Are people in the building? What does that building have to do with anything? Why did we blow it up twice? One from the future, one from the past. I don't understand any of it. I at this point, the plan to me pretty much unraveled. And I was just like, okay, so they're all a distraction from my understanding so that these two guys can go sneak in and get the thing.
Sneak in. Yeah. Sneak in a tunnel that they already know, that they've already planted a bomb in because they know they're coming. Like, why don't you just blow that up so that they can't get in there? Couldn't you have just done that?
I like that.
Oh, I guess he can't because they're going to blow it up in the future. So actually, he couldn't do that. So they run down the magic secret hallway, and Robert Pattinson does all this stuff. We're going to ignore all that because it doesn't mean anything. You can't really follow it. Basically, he's ensconcing. He's figuring it out so that he can ensconce himself in there to let them in the gate to stop the thing. What are the?
But so now, here's my question.
Yep.
Is he inverted?
Who? Robert Pattinson is initially inverted. And then...
How does he switch it? Because I thought you had to go through that device to switch it.
What happens is he's initially inverted, then he goes back to the thing, and then goes forward, and then inverts himself again to come back for a second time. So he's on the field 3 different times. Why?
Okay.
No, there's
don't you think that there has to be some sort of consequence for using this inversion tool too much?
Sure, it should kill you.
So
sure.
Like,
of course it should kill you.
I feel like he should be wearing down. I don't know.
But that would involve actually being something. His hair should be on fire or on ice. More importantly, Robert Pattinson's character has gone through this whole loop 17 times. Couldn't he have just told them to bring a grenade with them?
That's what I'm saying. So like,
or a secret hidden gun.
He inverts, he uninverts, I can never. First of all, from my point of view, he switched like 12 times, not just the 3 that you said. Yeah. I think he's just going back and forth over and over. He could have fixed everything. Sure. He should know every step that happens on this battlefield, and he should be able to go through it no problem. I don't understand why he dies. He doesn't. I'm sorry. You can't tell me he has to die. Why doesn't he just go back and kill that guy a little bit earlier that's about to kill him? And I don't.
Because our fates are sealed. There is no future. There is no past. Everything is just locked in forever. It's all been written. It has to be.
It's all been done. D-D-E.
Now, did it bug you that they were running down this hallway, they get to the gate, and then somehow within a minute, the bad guy has all their guns?
Yes. Yeah. The whole thing bothered me. This whole sequence is bad.
They hand the bad guy all of their guns through the grate?
Yeah. Through the grate. Yeah. As you would.
Is that really what you would have been doing to the guy with the bomb? Would you have been like, here, I don't want anything bad to happen to me. Here, take all the guns. because that's going to solve the problem.
Yeah, problem solved. Now everyone's safe.
Now,
Everybody's good to go.
more importantly, here's this dude. Okay, Tony, I'm gonna hire you for a job.
Okay.
This is what the job is.
Which side am I on? Okay,
you're a henchman. You're a henchman. This is the job you're gonna do.
I'm great at that. I
You're
follow
gonna-
orders.
You're gonna go underground. You're gonna put a bomb that destroys the world in a thing, and then you're gonna ignite that bomb.
Done.
What do I gotta pay you to have you do that?
Well, I'm gonna be dead, so you don't actually have to pay me anything. As far as I know, I'm ending everything, right? So
Why?
it's all good.
Okay. So
Well, Dan, my wife left me. Okay, so I've got nothing to live for. My kids don't like me. They call me Uncle Jerry. It's a real mess. So I'm just ready to end it all. Let's just cancel everything. We're good.
So basically, Robert Pattinson's character has snuck down there, and then he's also an incredible locksmith, if you didn't know.
He's really good.
So
If his tools don't break.
No, actually, Washington did all the lockpicking. Pattinson just stood there like an idiot.
You're right, he did. Why did you got to set that up earlier then. That's dumb.
So basically, he snuck down there and he's backwards and he shoots in his own head and unlocks the door and they shoot the bad guy, and then Pattinson in the other thing throws a rope down there and they grab the widget and they're pulled out.
Did that happen? Because
he threw the rope down.
From my point of view,
he did.
Oh, I don't remember him doing that. All I remember is all of a sudden they were getting pulled out by a rope, and I was like, "Where did that rope come from?" I don't even know what just happened.
I went and I rewatched it. He did throw the rope down, and they did wrap themselves up with the rope in like a really weird. They were all like, "Rope," which, whatever. And so he pulls them out, and then they're all out on the field. They've got the super widget, the 9 widgets, all widgety together. There's 3 of them there, and Ginger Boy goes like this, pulls a gun on him. Why did he pull a gun on them?
Because nobody leaves the field alive, Dan. They said it earlier.
Huh? What does that mean?
You don't remember that?
What about all the people that...
I don't know. They said that...
But didn't everybody evacuate into helicopters and fly away?
All of those people are fine. Supposedly, none of those people know the real mission. The only people that know the real mission are Washington, Pattinson, and New Guy. And so New Guy back in the war camp was like, "Hey, Washington, nobody leaves the field alive." And then there's like a weird, they're like, "Oh,"
what does
and then
that
they
mean?
move on.
Well, how does that work?
That they all have to die because they know too much.
But the widget's sitting there. You can't just leave the fucking widget sitting in the middle of the road.
Now, I agree with you. I'm just telling you what they said.
It doesn't make any sense. Why does no one... If no one leaves... Like... It's so stupid. Why can't anyone leave alive? I don't understand. It doesn't make any sense.
Those are the rules. Those are the rules.
So
all right? They told me.
So then he's like, instead of what I said, now I'm changing the rules, puts the gun back away. You're like, what the fuck?
Everyone lives.
Then he breaks the
Don't
widget.
worry about it.
Breaks the widget into 3 parts and then says, we'll all go to different places and hide these and then kill ourselves.
Yeah.
But if you...
At some point...
But if you don't kill
he adds that and he's like, but anytime.
But if you don't kill yourself, I'll kill you.
Yeah.
And then he walks off, and then Pattinson immediately says, here's my part of it. You deal with that. I'm going to go get myself killed saving you.
Essentially, yeah. Yep. I mean, you summed up the grand finale. That's great stuff.
Jesus fuck.
Okay.
And then... Stupid woman is there and she sees a black car, and so she calls him, and then he shows up, and then he kills the arms dealer who like works for him, which
because the secret phone,
which he could have just said to her, "You work for me, don't do that." I don't understand why he killed her. How is she a loose end? What?
So
what?
The loose end was that woman was going to kill Blondie because that woman thinks Blondie is a loose end. But then Washington's like, nah, she's not a loose end. She's my honey bunch. And then he's like, you're a loose end.
Why didn't his future self just tell her to stand down?
you're giving too much credit to future Washington. All right. So from my understanding, future Washington's a little loony at this point. Like he's spun off the rails and he's barely keeping all this together. That's why the movie's such a mess, because his plan is terrible. And this is the beginning of him unraveling, is him just killing people that are on his own team. And so he's spinning out of control.
Okay. So that's basically the movie, right?
Yeah, in a nutshell.
Now I have 9 points that I want to address.
Oh,
why
Jesus,
this is
9.
the worst movie ever.
Dan, these are your Horcruxes.
These are my 9 Horcruxes. Number 1, boring characters without lives.
Yes. 1,000,000%. Without a doubt.
Number 2, bloodless action.
So boring, except for the cheese grater, which you're right, there's no blood. The guy just got his face shredded. He should be. You're right. You're right. You ruined the only cool part of the movie for me.
Number 3, sloppy science.
If that. Sloppy is like generous at this point.
Easter egg-itis.
Yeah, oh yeah. It's all about watch it again. You better watch it again because you missed things.
Number 5, who pays for all this?
The movie or what happens in the movie?
Like
because I have questions on both.
Like the helicopters. Like, more importantly, do you really think you could just go rent those kind of helicopters in the Soviet in Russia to like do ops? All those guns.
I do. I think that they're pretty corrupt.
Support. Who are the people that give them all of these magic tents, all this magic backwards air? Who's spending all this time and energy to do all of this?
That kind of pays back to your last one of who's paying, like who's footing the bill. Where did you get all the funding for this guy? If nobody knows what Tenet is, who's funding it and why?
7, blah, blah, blah.
So much fucking talking in this movie. It's worse than this podcast, Dan. And that's all we do is talk.
Oh, yeah. There's no action except when I make fun of Tony. 8, why do they care? Why does anybody care about anything in this movie?
I don't care. So they obviously don't care either because they haven't told me why they care. They haven't shown me that they care, so I don't care.
And lastly, number 9, trust. Why does anyone trust their bosses in any of this thing? Why do we march to our death? Why is everyone so happily marching to their deaths?
Dan, that's the only one the movie answers. Kenneth Branagh says, "Hey, Mr. Washington, you're a zealot." So there you go. They're all zealots. The movie told you.
And more importantly, who are the bosses of all this?
I have no idea. Who is sending Kenneth Branagh the gold?
The future.
Who are these future people? Why don't we learn who that is? Why is that not part of this movie?
Because they're angry future people.
That's not their plan, right? He's changing the plan, correct?
No, I have no idea.
Because he's supposed to reverse time, but instead he wants to kill everything.
Who knows?
Right?
Who knows?
Someone has to know, and put it in the comments if you made it this far. Tell us why we're wrong and explain Kenneth Branagh's plan a little bit better, because right now it's dumb.
Anything else to say about this heaping pile of garbage?
I would love to have more to say, just so I can match all the exposition of the movie. But I think I've run my course. I think I'm out.
Okay, so at this point in the podcast movie review thing, we talked about something we liked. I'm gonna just start with, I haven't finished Wonder Woman 84, which I am enjoying, which I guess a lot of other people haven't been enjoying.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with George Clooney's The Midnight Sky.
Ooh,
have you watched
I watched the trailer the other day. No, I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm in.
There's this point at which it's a whole show not tell, where he just sees something on a table and it just sets up what's going to happen, and you're like,
what?
it was not what ever happens in this movie. This movie is like,
right. Like I can understand why that really got you. On a normal week, that might just be like, oh, okay, that was interesting. But on this week, it's like, oh yes, this is amazing.
It felt like a filmmaker making a film, and there's so much not talking in this movie. You're just like, thank you, God. Thank you for letting a character's eyes speak volumes from a movie where a character's eyes never speak anything, and there are no volumes, and you don't care about anyone.
There are no characters, from what I can tell.
And someone else I was reading was talking about Tenet, and they're like, it does not pass the Bechdel test because no woman ever talks to another woman about anything other than, I mean, no woman even ever talks to another woman. I don't think
nope,
the two
they
women
only
in the
talk
movie,
to Washington, really.
But then the men don't even talk to each other in the whole movie, so it fails even on the machismo we're men scale.
First of all, we need to write out what that scale means, and that's going to be our new thing for the podcast. I like it.
Scale? Like
the machismo scale. That's how we're going to measure action movies, and this movie fails.
Machismo scale.
Cool lines, cool action, like brothers in arms, all failed.
They really weren't, because he never saves Neil, does he? Does he ever? Does he ever save Neil, or Neil ever save him? Neil pulls him out of the pit with the rope.
And well, he pulls him out of the pit, and he stops him from trying to kill himself, I guess.
When was he going to kill himself?
When he's fighting himself, and he's like, "Wait, don't shoot him."
Yeah.
But I won't tell you why. I don't understand. We didn't even talk about that, but it's fine.
Okay, Tony, give us something you like this week.
Anyhow, yeah. So the thing that's really saved me this week was I talked about it a little bit earlier. We were watching it on Die Hard. It's called The Movies That Made Us. It's on Netflix. Sure. They're like mini docs on some popular movies. It's very fun. Yeah. We enjoyed it. We watched Home Alone, Elf, and Die Hard this week.
I like the Elf. Elf is great. I watched that.
All great. Yeah. All super fun, and it just reminds you of like how fun it can be to make a movie, and how magical it can be when it all just like works. Unlike this movie, which was trash, and I think everyone hated making it. So it was really nice. It was just like a really nice, fun, light romp through movie history.
And when you watch one of those about movies, it really shows you how it's this beautiful collaborative effort where like people come on with these really keen ideas that change the trajectory. You know, it's like this dude went out to write a holiday classic in Elf, and then the studio didn't like it. They wanted to be more like old school because he was in a popular movie, and everyone pushed back against that. And goddamn movie's a holiday classic and will be watched till the end of time because it is.
Yeah, it's good.
What? Oh, you don't like it?
I said, yeah, it's good. It's good. You're a jerk. Have you seen, we're going to get off track. I'll try to keep it short. Have you seen Noelle? Did you watch Noelle on Disney Plus?
No, what is that?
It's Anna Kendrick basically doing an Elf type movie. And I like it better than Elf.
I'll watch that. Okay, so
I'll watch that.
Schlockbusters ends next week, and Dan Goodsell gets to make the final pick.
The final decision.
There were two movies that were on my radar that I wanted to do when we did Schlockbusters. Number one was Tenet. We've done that. And this was this.
You're welcome.
Well, and the other, actually, no, there were three. Tenet.
Oh.
Then there was Chaos Walking, but I don't think Chaos Walking is out yet. So
I don't think it's out yet either.
We're going to have to do that later.
We'll save it.
And then this gem of a movie. This was going to be the next Harry Potter type franchise.
Okay.
Beloved classic kids book series. Disney bought it. Disney made it. And I hear it's terrible. Do you know what movie I'm talking about, Tony?
I don't.
2020's Artemis Fowl.
Oh! Artemis. I'm writing this down. Dan, I saw the trailer and I was like, I think I want to see this. So I'm excited.
Now you're excited.
It's not good, huh?
I have not heard good things about it. I have heard very bad things about it. And
Perfect.
If you saw that trailer and thought you might want to watch it, I think you've lost your mind. I think the bad guy is Judi Dench dressed as an elf.
I don't even. Listen. That's news to me. So maybe I didn't watch the trailer.
Oh, you didn't see it? There's like
Maybe
little...
I just saw the picture on the Disney Plus app and I was like, "Oh, we should check that out later," and then kept going. I don't know.
So Artemis Fowl is up, and it's the kid is like a master criminal or something. It's his dad is like the world's biggest criminal, and so his dad goes missing.
So he's Gru.
So
this is about Gru's child.
Gru.
Okay.
Gru's like a scientist. He's an evil scientist.
He's so angry. He's still an evil. He's a super villain. Whatever.
Did you watch Soul? Have you watched that yet?
No. Should I watch it?
It's pretty good.
Have you seen it?
Pretty good.
Okay. It's we added it to our list last night.
I will say it's one of the
good old Jamie Foxx.
One of the less odious Pixar movies.
You're so mad at all this. It's ridiculous. One of the spoiler alert. One of those is gonna come up soon, Dan. Don't you worry.
Oh no, you're not gonna make me watch Finding Nemo.
On the scale of Jamie Foxx movies, where does it land between Ray and Stealth? Stealth being the best Jamie Foxx movie ever.
It's not really a Jamie Foxx movie.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, I love Jamie Foxx.
I mean, I think we'd watched like 15 or 20 minutes of the movie, and I was like, "Who's doing the voice?" And Shannon was like, "It's Jamie Foxx," and I was like, "Oh, okay. He's just a great actor. I think he's one of our. I think he's one of our greatest actors and comedians." And
yeah, he's great.
And this movie shows it. It's not just him doing like Jamie Foxx stuff. Not that there is Jamie Foxx stuff, but it's not like him trying to point out that.
I get it.
Because usually voice acting bugs the hell out of me because you're just like, oh, it's that person. And in this movie,
no, I get it.
I really like the casting because you didn't think that at all. I thought was one of the strongest things about the movie.
Okay, I'm excited to see it.
Artemis Fowl. I'm so excited.
Have you read the book series? Okay, me neither.
I don't read books, although I'm reading a book right now.
I'll try. Maybe I should try to read the first one before I watch it on Friday.
Maybe you should do
just to get
a
comparison. Do something.
Maybe
hey man, do something.
Show up on time for our show, but whatever.
I listen. I'll never do that. I gotta be fashionably late. That's my thing.
Stink like a dog. Go take a shower. So this has been Hate Watching with Dan and Tony. I hope you enjoyed our takedown of Christopher Nolan's garbage movie Tenet.
I enjoyed it. That's all that matters.
I enjoyed it too. Christopher Nolan. Hope I never meet you at a dinner party because I'm going to talk your stupid ear off.
I hope that we both meet him at the same dinner party so I can just watch it with popcorn.
I'm going to have to watch some interviews that he did. I have the feeling they're going to be like the interviews for Jack the Giant Slayer where it's a guy talking about, like renting boats and stuff and how that's like how you make a movie.
That's the coolest thing, man.
Cool
we got windmills. I even checked Voodoo. Maybe they have some of those like featurettes on the thing.
We'll have to see if there's some featurettes.
That's worth looking into.
Definitely. Well, I'm Dan.
I'm Tony.
And if you like this, subscribe. If you're getting recommended by YouTube, watch to the end because that's when it gets really good.
This is a real Tenet moment, Dan. If they've already heard that line, it's because they watched the end and you're telling it to nobody. Okay.
Next episode, we're going to talk about watching to the end because all the Easter eggs that come up at the end of the show. We need to be pitching all these Easter eggs at the beginning. Watch while Tony has an embolism. Watch while Dan passes a kidney stone live on the show.
You're going to love it, folks. Entertainment.
That's entertainment. Me passing a kidney stone.
Hey, watching! With Dan and Tony! Hey, watching! With Dan and Tony! It's like